All right, so we got last segment started by talking about the defense, some of the issues, who's going to play, who might not. Wide receiver, corner, safety, who are you trading for, Derek? Who are you trading for?
Safety. Not even blinking twice at that answer. Yes, talking about wide receiver.
You can only have one. You can only have one. You would rather have a safety than a wide receiver.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You want me to say it an extra time?
No. Who do you like?
I'm going to do it anyway.
Who do you like?
Problem is, here's my only issue with this. I know that safeties are not readily available. That's my problem. They're not the most tradable asset. The Bills don't have a lot of cap to even work with necessarily.
No, they don't.
So I'm getting Jordan Poyer, and I'm going to have to like it. That is unfortunately where I'm looking at this at this point. Would it be nice for me to have a chance to call the Arizona Cardinals and inquire about Budda Baker? Yes, but they don't have the cap gymnastics to make it work this year. At least not in season.
Yeah, you're not getting a Budda Baker type.
No, you're not. You're getting maybe a rental type player that the Bills have in recent years failed to identify, by the way.
Someone that's not starting, a backup somewhere.
And that was a great idea when you brought
Justin
in
Reed.
But it was a great idea when you brought in Mike Edwards and Derek Forrest.
Oh, yeah.
And neither of them would even take a snap for them, actually.
Yes, that's right.
So one got cut in season, the other never made it. So unfortunately, my answer has to end up being my second choice, which is wide receiver. I don't think the Bills are going to trade for a corner. I think they are confident with Harrison coming back that that's their reinforcements. I just would love to see a safety acquired by the Bills. I don't like the odds to a point where I don't worry about looking into the names because of the fact that it's not realistic. It really isn't. Wide receivers are more tradable assets, I think. It's easier.
There's more of them.
There's more of them. You could carry 5 to 6 on a game day roster, whereas at safety, maybe 4. It's 3 to 4. So we're playing with almost half of the field anyway.
I have 2 ideas at receiver that I want to run past you.
Okay.
The first one I think is not as realistic, not because the Bills can't afford him, but because it's coming from another AFC team right now that is in first place, and I'm not sure a team in first place would want to trade a player to another team within the conference that is going to be competing against you, but A.D. Mitchell. A player that I think come draft time, there were a lot of conversations around would he be a good fit for the Bills. Ended up falling to the second round, gets drafted by Indianapolis, and right now has kind of fallen out of favor in the pecking order. Alec Pierce, who I think is a pretty good player, has really solidified himself as like their go-to deep threat guy. So A.D. Mitchell on the bench, that's a player I think that could come in here and immediately give them the spark they're looking at as a boundary down the field route runner. I think he'd immediately walk off the bus, be your best route runner, and be a guy that can get down the field. So A.D. Mitchell is a buy low, probably not giving up more than a fourth, and could be a guy that could help you and would fill a role, I think. The other guy that I've really kind of thought about since day one is Rashid Shaheed. Because, again, the same sort of skill set. I think it's the thing they don't have offensively. But I think there's more to Shaheed than just a go down the field and run in a straight line. I think if you swapped out Rashid Shaheed straight up for Keon Coleman in the lineup, that you'd have a far more dynamic boundary receiver that you could lean on for more than just 3 routes in the course of a game. So those are 2 names that I've really kind of thought about the most at wide receiver. I'm sure there are lots of other names people are dreaming about. I don't think Chris Olave is going to get traded. I don't know what, Jerry Jeudy, I just think the contract's too much in Cleveland to really do anything about that. There are other names. So you got any other ones you've thought of that you're like, it just doesn't seem...
So Mitchell's probably fascinating to me in the sense of he already needs a new place, I think. He's already been written off by the Colts. But also NFL teams in season are not going to trade for A.D. Mitchell because of the fact that he had that game against the Rams where he fumbles the ball to the end zone. He has a costly holding penalty, and it ultimately cost the Colts the one time that they've lost a football game this year.
Yep.
So Mitchell is an offseason thing. Brian Thomas is another one that's being floated out there by a lot of reporters right now of, they're probably not trading him, but they'll listen. Yeah, of course. Nate, if we talked about what to get for lunch today, I'd listen.
You want to talk about what you want to get for lunch later?
Yeah, we can talk about that later. But I'm listening.
I'm hungry. I'm listening. I'll listen.
I'll listen to every conversation.
I'll listen to that.
I'll listen to every conversation. It's about what I want or what am I willing to give up. So that's where the problem with Brian Thomas Jr. and A.D. Mitchell is those are young guys we need to have massaged into real conversations. That's an offseason thing.
But here's the thing about both of those players. I think with the role that we're talking about, those are two players that could walk into a lineup, even if they don't know the offense in full. You could go design 4 or 5 plays for on 4 days of preparation and feel like you could get a potential impact right away from either of those players just because of the style of play. Both are downfield weapons. I know a lot of people are like super down on Brian Thomas Jr., but he's coming off of a 1285 or whatever it was last year, 83 catches with Mac Jones as his quarterback. I think a little bit of this is the Shane Waldron effect. Wherever he goes, wide receivers go to die. JSN.
Offenses go to die.
JSN. Look at the receiver he's become since his rookie season. Last year was Rome Odunze in Chicago. Waldron leaves there. Now Odunze is, really starting to find his stride. So listen, I think there are some outside factors that are contributing to Brian Thomas Jr.'s season. Has he been good? No. He's had drops. He's alligator armed some things. He has not looked like the same player he did his rookie season. But you're not going to get a player right now that you're trading for that is amazing and some team's number one wide receiver because those guys don't get traded.
Those guys don't get traded.
Regardless if you get a safety, a corner, a wide receiver, you're getting someone with a flaw. So you have to determine, can you work with that flaw? Does it fit within the needs that you have offensively or defensively? And then figure it out. And I think defensively, we're probably not talking enough about edge, but I think that they're getting Michael Hoyt back, and we'll see what he looks like in this defense. Him and Ogunjobi should both look very fresh. This team needs probably infusion of fresh legs, guys, that aren't coming off of injuries. And I think that's the one issue this defense is having right now is they just have a lot of injuries. And, it's stacking up in the middle. Jordan Phillips, he's going to be probably in the lineup today for the Bills. DaQuan Jones with a calf injury, he's out already as a designation, so there's no real game time designation for him. He's out. And I would expect he's out for the next couple of weeks. It's a calf injury. He's an older player. Those calf injuries, when you rush them back, you get Achilles tears. I think that they're going to be super safe with DaQuan Jones. So he'd been playing good. He's your best one tech. So you're going to need more of your rookie Deion Walker. You're going to need some Jordan Phillips here. So you're going to need some Larry Ogunjobi, I think, to come in and make a direct impact right away. So, yeah, I just think the trade conversation is interesting because everybody agrees they need to do something. The problem is I think everyone's sort of in disagreement of what type of player, what position, and who they should try to take a swing for. I am still of the mind, Derek, that I've yet to really watch Brandon Beane empty a clip on a season and just say, I don't care what happens. We need to do everything we can and go for it.
And the problem is they don't have the cap this year to do that.
They can massage what they need to. If they wanted to get really aggressive and say, we are emptying the clip and going all in this year, they've got 5 or 6 levers they can pull. They can go after players that don't. Garrett Wilson, you can trade for Garrett Wilson right now. His yearly number this year, you could fit under your salary cap. Then you'd have to figure out how to fit the rest of it in. Same with like a DJ Moore. DJ Moore's a little higher this year. They would need the Bears to retain some money in a trade
for
DJ
Moore.
Also
would need to start losing games, and that's not really happening for them. They're
right.
4-2.
But they have a player they're not using.
Nate, I will say this, though, as the counter. Is this the team you want to go all in with this year?
I don't know.
Because I don't look at this team as, they're one piece away, or they're a couple trades at the deadline away. This is a team that is dealing with a lot of injuries, but also talent deficiencies that you can't get away with one aggressive trade deadline into winning the Super Bowl.
Let me rebuttal.
Group. And I think I know where the rebuttal is. The AFC's a mess.
Yeah.
We're on MindLink on that.
Yeah.
Lunch is going to be great today.
No Joe Burrow.
No Joe Burrow.
Probably no Ravens.
They're dead in the water.
I think whatever they're dealing with right now with is Lamar Jackson going to play? Just kidding, he's not. But he is going to play next week, but he's definitely practicing, but he's not actually practicing. He's the practice.
He's not full, he's limited.
Whatever's going out there. That I think I feel good enough about burying them. So that means right now you have the Indianapolis Colts. Good team. I am not prepared. I know they're like 95% chance to win the 1 seed. I am not prepared yet to tell you that I think that team is capable of carrying what they've been doing all season for the rest of the year. I have a lot of trouble believing it. I think Kansas City's the best team in the AFC again, but.
And they're not officially in a playoff spot.
Right. So there is just, to me, it's less about what this team is capable of, and more about the opportunity the AFC is presenting itself. I think the NFC is a better conference right now, and I don't think I would have said that coming in to the season. Before we take a timeout, let's grab one phone call and get connected with our fans, and that's powered by Verizon, the official 5G partner of the Buffalo Bills. Let's go to Bob in Syracuse. Bob, thanks for waiting on hold. You're on Bills Game Day with Nate and Derek. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. It's great to talk to you again. Try not to get mad at me, but I'm going to offer a little bit of a different opinion regarding Brandon Beane. My opinion is that if for some reason at some point we decide to, and I don't know if you guys are at this point yet, but to look for a different GM, there's about 18 to 20 NFL teams that would do anything to get Brandon Beane. One of the things that I think we all have to keep in mind is there's really been only one team in the NFL that has had consistent, sustained success since Allen has been, well, maybe two. You could say the Bills, but it's definitely the Chiefs. Now, the Bills have opportunities year in and year out to be able to get over the hump. And what's prevented them from getting over the hump is not Brandon Beane and his decisions as far as talent, in my opinion, because at some point, even the Chiefs are going to have 2 years of down, they've had 2 years of down play in the last, maybe 4 or 5 years. And this year is not, is not any different. They're having their challenges. But my point is that the Bills get up to the precipice of the Super Bowl, and what's the difference between the Bills and the Chiefs? Steve Spagnuolo and Andy Reid versus Bobby Babich or whoever we have as a D coordinator and Sean McDermott. We can't get over the hump because year in and year out we get outcoached by those coaches on the opposite side of the field, because Kansas City has been the team that has gotten in the way of Brandon Beane possibly being a savior for Buffalo. So I just want to kind of throw that out there. You might not have the same opinion, and that's cool. And I'm not defending him because, hey, listen, he hasn't had a really solid draft pick order in the last 6-7 years, and that's no excuse. The biggest problem I have with Beane is that he was so locked in on, hey, Josh Allen doesn't really need a receiver because we were – the number one passing offense in the NFL. And I think he carried that into the offseason, that mentality, without really being focused on trying to get him a number one. I thought that was a huge mistake on Beane's part. But listen, you're not going to get perfection from any GM, and I don't want to go back to Tom Donahoe.
No, that's a good point, Bob.
You know what I mean? I'm just saying, I'm not trying to excuse him, but I'm just trying to say you have to encapsulate his success over the sustained period. Obviously, getting Josh Allen, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, but he had a lot to do with his development as well. So I think he's made some mistakes on the defensive side of the ball, keeping Leslie Frazier for 2 extra years when he should have been gone.
Though, I'll tell you this, Bob, I would feel that they probably – I don't want to tell you that I think Leslie Frazier wouldn't be an upgrade over what – I mean, their floor with Leslie Frazier was pretty darn high. There were mistakes made, and yes, some of it's coaching. But listen, the Chiefs have gone up and down. But guess what they're doing right now? They have the best group of receivers that team has had in Patrick Mahomes' career, going into year 10 or whatever this is for them. I mean, that is the best group of pass catchers he's ever had. And they've had Hall of Famers on the other side of the ball consistently. Trent McDuffie's amazing. They've rifled through Janarius Sneed, Who's the other guy that they had that they just recently got rid of? Travarius Ward. I mean, they've had guys that have gone on to get paid number one at their position pretty consistently. So
And they have another top-tier corner in Trent McDuffie.
Correct.
That's back to drafting star players.
But they
on
also
the
drafted and paid
defense.
George Karlaftis, and I don't think he's that good. So it's hard to draft elite level players when you're drafting 28, 29, 30, 31. It's really hard. And I'm not telling you that I think the Chiefs have done even a better job at that, but what the Chiefs have done a better job at is they've got a core group of players that are legitimately Hall of Fame best players at their position, and they've surrounded the rest of their team. The Bills have one really great player, one Hall of Fame level player, and they've filled in everywhere else. And this year, you're starting to see a roster that is looking devoid of that like elite level player on defense, and they've had trouble building around the rest of it. So I get where you're coming from, Bob, and I don't think anyone here is telling you Brandon Beane's done a bad job. But what I think everyone's doing is saying that it's like any recipe. There's a little bit of this and a little bit of that. There's a little bit of coaching. There's a little bit of roster mismanagement. There's a little bit of that's just the way that it goes. It takes a village to succeed, and it takes a village for failure. And there isn't just one thing that's going to lead to either of those outcomes.